Christ and a taxi.
Hold still. Each one of these is a life. A life you helped destroy.
Come beg me. Don't kill me.
I'm not going to kill you. Your job will be to tell the rest of them that death is coming for them. Tonight. Tell them Eric Draven sends his regards.
Walk out of here. They're gonna erase your sorry ass. You're nothing but street grease, Eric. Street grease, you motherfucker.
Is that gasoline I smell?
No, man. No! No! No!
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Shock-Phobia Fest.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan. And in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Shock-Phobia Fest, a month-long celebration of All Hallows Eve's most frightening films and comic spooks. Ooh, and it's Devil's Night, and the feeling's right. And we have reached a milestone in the Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls podcast. The idea has indeed become the institution. We have reached our 150th episode. Believe it or not, it's been a long road, but we've made it. And it's all being burned down in Devil's Night. But I am joined by two very special people on this very special episode. I'm joined by Ria Carrogan, who joined me last week for our trick or treat. I won't start pronouncing that all weird again. Just go back and listen to that. Sorry, not last week, the week before. Apologies. That was Rasheen with May. And Tonya Todd is here, decked out in all her gothic glory. You can't see it, but it's a sight to behold. It's a good look. It's a very good look. So we are here to discuss the cult classic set around Halloween, as that is the rules for Shock-Phobia Fest. It has to be set around. Doesn't necessarily have to be a horror film, but as long as it's in that time frame. And it is The Crow, Alex Proyas's 1994 and Brandon Lee's final film. I'm sure we'll get into that. Tragically, The Crow. So, guys, what has been your experience with The Crow? When did you see it? What happened to your life? How was it changed?
Don't you think that first we should just have a moment to appreciate that you have 150 episodes? Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Well done. Congratulations.
Why, thank you. It's been it's like I've said this before. I said this to Tonya when we were talking about all the She-Hulk covers. I'm not much of a finisher. I'll start stuff and I'll be like, I get bored or I get frustrated or I'm like, this is a thing. But I'm shocked that we got to 100. I say we, but I know it's mostly me doing the work. But I only keep going because of the people I meet, like you guys I've met through all of this, and the amazing Comics in Motion people. And like sometimes you don't often get to see your friends as much, or they cancel and things. But then if you go, well, I've got a thing we're going to do this thing. We have to do the thing. So we have to meet, we have to see each other. And that's always nice. So there's people I've had ex-girlfriends on here. I've had, friends I've not seen for 2 or 3 years, people I've met maybe just once. There's a few people I've never met, and it's amazing the community and it's the best community I've ever been a part of. I have to say, the most open, the most understanding, most supportive. I include you guys in that as well, and I'm blessed to even be a small part of a great community with such great podcasters and great content. Both of you are putting out absolutely amazing content as well. So I'm the lucky one, I think, to be and know everybody else.
Well, we appreciate being a part of it.
Oh, don't you make me cry. Don't make me cry.
Oh, let's be mean to him. Let's do that for his 150th episode.
There are other ways to make him cry, right?
Oh God. I was like, don't be mean to me. Don't be mean to me, Ria. That might just turn me on instead.
Oh, getting to depravity already.
The depravity. Yeah, it's all right. We've done all the soft shit. Now we're back into
all the feelings.
Do all the feelings.
Emotions.
Nobody wants those. Well, I have to say, this is a very emotional film, even though it is obviously it's a kind of a violent, dark, gritty comic book film.
Yeah, but it's a love story at its core.
Absolutely. Tell us, Tonya, why is it a love story?
Because none of it would matter if he didn't love Sherry. Like, if he weren't coming back just to avenge her murder, none of it would matter. And he's protecting people he loves. He didn't come back for himself. He came back for the people he loves.
So do you think he comes back, or was it the crow itself? By the way, we are probably
I feel
going
like the
to...
crow... I should mention, I have not read the graphic novel.
we are probably going to go into spoilers, so bear with us if you've not seen it. If you haven't seen it, why have you not seen it? Go see it right now. But yes,
and then come back and listen.
Yes, exactly. Please continue listening. But yeah, do you think it's his love that brings him back, or is it the crow itself and that supernatural ability?
I don't think it's his love that brings him back. I think it's the atrocity. I think the crow brings him back, but I do think it's him because he has his memories and he has, he knows where to go, and he has the things that he has said in the past. He remembers things. It's not the crow coming back and avenging. The crow is more like an avatar assisting his vengeance.
Yeah, and throughout storytelling, from some of the first stories, myths, if you will, there's always stories about people who have had traumatic deaths and then come back to seek revenge or to seek justice, maybe. Or why is it revenge? Is it not justice? What is it when you're just fine with stuff? I've forgotten the word. When
I think it's acceptance or something. But why I want to do that?
Do you mean like contentment? Is that the word?
Contentment, yeah. Because not everything has to come back and be bad. As in, like, you just come back and you're just like, okay, I've said goodbye to the ones that I love. And there's always these, myths and legends are filled with them, of people who have had traumatic deaths and then come back to seek something. So it's just an iteration of that, really.
I said vengeance, but I don't feel like this was a vengeance film, because he isn't getting revenge. He isn't making them suffer in the ways that he suffered or that she suffered. He's just killing them. It's justice. It's not vengeance.
Yeah, it's justice, isn't it? Settling the score, justice, yeah.
They deserved it. They had it coming.
They had it coming.
I did that on purpose.
Never seen it. That's on my last stop on the hype train, but I know the song very well. I know Tonya doesn't like talking about the plot of the film. So, Ria, would you like to do that? Or should I do it? Should I fall off that?
Because I'm so good at summarising things. That is really my strength. It's just what you are about. Yeah.
It's your thing. It's how you identify. You are a synopsis to me. A synopsis machine. And you give the most entertaining
synopster.
A synopster, yeah. A
synopstress.
A synopstress. I like that. Give it your best. I think it's pretty easy as a synopsis.
All right. Let me go then. All right, come Come on.
Go for it. Go for it.
Dan. Right, so it's Devil's Night, which is the 30th of October, and we see that there has been a horrific crime happening where a young man, Eric Draven, and his fiancée, Shelley Webster, have been murdered. We skip ahead to a year later, and Eric comes out of the grave and seeks vengeance on the people who committed the murder of him and his loved one, and also tries to right some of the wrongs in other people's lives. So, for example, there was a young girl, Sarah, who he and Shelley used to take care of, and so he protects her as well. The bad dude is bad and fucks his half-sister, and it's all upsetting. And there's lots of deaths, and he walks around in a cool outfit and makes cool silhouettes of crows. Done. Boom.
I genuinely think that's one of your best and most concise.
Yes. Let's talk about that outfit. There's something about that, isn't there? Very Burton-esque. Like, let's just wrap you in black and shiny, paint your face white. And yeah, that does it.
It is. I was just thinking, like, if you did like a claymation version of him, it'd look like Johnny Depp's character in The Corpse Bride. That's kind of kind of a similar.
Or Edward Scissorhands.
Oh yeah, of course.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a good look.
Do you think he was vacuum sealed into the outfit as well, like they were?
Yeah,
I
it's
think he would have to be. It is very tight,
sewn in. Yeah, it's like a mixture of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Angelus, not Angel, Angelus in Buffy. It's like when he goes.
Stop, Ria.
It's like what he is.
We're getting flustered.
I didn't know it was going to be that kind of podcast.
Kevin and I had a whole 10-minute conversation about his hair as well.
Okay.
We would properly isn't his hair really interesting? And Kevin and I were like, I wonder if you could grow your hair if you would look like that. Let's give that a go, eh?
It's wet a lot of the time too, so that's part of it.
It's like that nice. He's like nice length. It's sort of like that wave. He's got a nice wave going on, tousled wave. Ooh.
It is really good hair. You know, I read as well that the makeup that he wears, they couldn't get it quite right. Every time the makeup artist would apply it, it looked too neat, too nice, too beautiful. So what Brandon Lee and the director decided to do was that he would put it on before he went to bed. So, you know, when he's tossing and turning
so
at night,
bad for your skin.
That's like my 4-year-old when she has her face painted and refuses to take it off, and she wakes up like a freaking monster the next day.
Panda eyes. So it's to give that look that it's been a long night of him fighting crime and dying and falling off of buildings, and it's kind of come off and rubbed away, and that's why.
Yeah, well, it's effective.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really works because again, it adds that kind of a level of realism that it's never just perfect all the time.
Right.
And, you know, his outfit gets holes in.
That's it. I always get really sad when somebody shoots him or stabs him because I'm like, that's his only top.
Now.
His only top.
I mean, his hand will grow back, but that top ruined.
Yeah, it's a nice top as well. It's like a nice stretchy rib fabric. You don't see that often. I was like, I bet that wasn't cheap. And he's just shot some holes in it. He's got all to the effort to kill T-Bird. He kills and gets the coat. And gets like a really nice coat, and then people shoot him. I'm like,
it's Tintin.
It's nice. Is it Tintin?
Yeah, T-Bird's the guy in the car.
There are a lot of T names in this.
A lot of T names, yeah.
That's okay. I think I said Sherry earlier when I meant to say Shelley. So
yeah, I think it is Shelley.
I may have poured some Irish cream in my tea today.
Yeah.
Don't blame you. Why do you think it's been such a kind of cult classic, so influential? Is it because? Do you think it's just because Brandon Lee's death, or do you think it's the quality of the film as well? Or
I don't think it's just because of his death. I think that gave it a lot of hype, but that wouldn't give it staying power.
No.
So my question is for you, Tonya. I mean, and maybe you, Dan.
Sure.
Is when did you both first watch this film? Because I have an experience, which I think most people did, is you watched this film and you went, this film's fucking insane. This is awesome. And we're going to watch it like all the time. So 1994, came out in 1994, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm like 12, 13 years old.
So you saw it when it first came out?
I probably like a year afterwards on video. For some reason, my mum would have let us rent it, and like totally inappropriate for like, I would have been about 13, 14 at the time, and was obviously like, this is the best film I've ever seen, and I'm absolutely obsessed. And we bought it on VHS and watched it all the time. And I was like, this is so cool. I want to die and come back. As the And, you know, I think for me as well, you know, it was a formative age of most action films had been, for me, growing up, 80s action films or adventure action films, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, or, you know, Arnie type of ones. And this was like this proper dark, gothic, Tim Burton-esque action film. And I was like, this is my vibe. I am 100% down for this. So how about you two? What was did you just get it and watch
I was trying to remember when I first saw this, how old I was, and I could not remember, because I cannot remember not knowing this film. It's like so ingrained in me that I can't even recall my first time, because I've watched it just so many times and I have shared it with so many people, and I quote just a ridiculous number of the lines. I think them. You know, I think these lines as thoughts in my day. And I could not remember. And it's weird because I feel like I had to have been an adult when I first saw it because of other things going on. At the time, I think I saw it, but I also feel like a childlike remembrance of experiencing it. So I don't know. Wow. But it spoke to me. It spoke to me so much that, you know, I know the soundtrack inside and out, and I know the lines inside and out. And it's one of those films that is part of me. It would definitely be, if it's not on, you know, your list of top 5, it is so close. It's hard to pick a top 5 because there's so many amazing movies out there, but I know that this is one that has pieces of me. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, I saw it when I think I must have been maybe 13, 14, but before that, I'll have seen it when I was younger. In the video, in Blockbuster, I saw the video case. The guy's kind of, Brandon Lee's kind of walking down like that. There's like I think it's like the church doors or something, and there's the crow emblem. And I think there was another one as well, where it's just kind of fire behind him and it's his face. And it's like, that visage, that kind of gaunt, yet kind of muscular visage. Like a lot, like, again, it's one of those things that back in the day that was marketing. They didn't have social media. It was like, you've got to create the best looking art for your video, or it's not gonna happen. No one's gonna pick that up. And even they, most of the time you get this like sword and sorcery thing, and it's like, oh yeah, this looks really cool. You're actually watching, you're like, they fucking got me again. It's shit. It's just garbage. But yeah, I noticed it then. But I think it was kind of after I watched Blade, I was kind of in that kind of mood and era of kind of cool stuff, and dudes in leather and punching people. I mean actually that sounds like a different lifestyle altogether, I think.
It's okay, Dan, we're all friends here.
It's right. Embrace it. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there certainly isn't. I was like,
something great about that, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's a great lifestyle. I was into wrestling as well, so that was very homoerotic as well.
That's helping.
Lots of lycra and spandex. So I did finally see it, and again, it was in line with what I like about Blade as well. There's some similarities there. It's a comic book hero, but it wasn't your regular Spider-Man, Superman type of thing. So I went around that time. I got the book as well, which is a lot more kind of gothic and punk. And it's a really interesting read. It's a beautiful read. For those who don't know, the writer of the original comic lost his partner in a horrible traffic accident, car crash, and he wrote the book as a kind of an ode to her, and kind of again, it's not the same as what happened to him, but it was him trying to deal with that grief and move past it. So he wrote this story and created this story to put all of his emotions on the page. And it speaks to a lot of people, and that's why the book was so popular. And then within, I think it was only a few years, not many years at all, maybe 3, it was optioned for a film. So it really spoke to people. And I think these kind of stories do. But what I like about The Crow as well is, even though it is an action film, there's a bit of macho, rough and readiness, two-fisted tail type thing. It is very much about the love story, and it subverts a lot of the macho bullshit of an action film.
I don't think it is macho. I don't get that feeling.
Get it
the
as
fights,
macho.
no, and the fights don't feel like
maybe not.
Men
but
with muscles being men, being tough, hard men. I don't see this film like that at all.
There's so much pain in this.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, in normal action films, it's like, oh, just tough it out, be a man, walk it off, And in this, even though he has recuperative, regenerating powers, and he can heal and he can get better and he's super strong.
Jump on buildings,
jump off buildings. We still see him constantly hurt, constantly broken. He loses his powers towards the end. He's constantly in a position, almost always in a position of weakness and openness and like, come and kill me. I'm dead. There's nothing else you can do. I've seen what death is. Whatever, do what you need to do, but I'm going to do what I need to do. And I'm going to get my hands around your throat to complete my mission and to go back to the one I love. So I've always kind of appreciated that. It's a classic love story. It's your, what's the Greek myth where he goes down into the underworld? He can't look at her. Is it Orpheus? Something like that. So he has to get, there's a deal where he makes with like Hades, where he's like, you can walk out with her, but if you look at her...
I'm usually really good at shit like that, but I forgot the word that I wanted to use earlier, so I'm like, I'm no good, am I?
No, you're great. But yeah,
thanks.
You're great. I like you. You're cool.
I feel like Tony is screaming at us right now.
He will.
Yeah, he will be.
He will be.
He'll be. He'll play it all.
But yeah,
it was Orpheus.
Yeah, I was right. Oh, good.
I'm trying to remember her name though. Is it Eurydice?
Eurydice? Something like that. Orpheus and Eurydice? I think it's that one. Anyway. Love stories.
We're really bringing it, guys.
We're great.
I know. I'm sorry, Tony.
Episode 150. Oh, bring it. But yeah, it's that. But what is it about this film that has such a unique identity? Do you think it is the kind of metal punk influence, the musical influence that feeds into that?
It's a huge part of it. It's also the aesthetic. The pictures are just, you can feel what they feel. You can feel the pain. You can feel the sadness. Nothing is full. Nothing is bright. Nothing is cheery. So you're walking around this dreary world, and it's not quite colorless, but it damn near is. It's lacking something that you would have if you were living for real. And it even seems like there are parts when it's actual living characters, it feels a little bit brighter around them. And I think it's because they are alive. But when we're with Eric, there's a lack of color. And I don't think that's accidental. Or if it was a very brilliant accident.
It makes me think of, I think they play on this in some of the really crappy sequels it came after. I think maybe in City of Angels. Do not watch City of Angels.
I haven't watched any of the sequels because
fucking awful.
They're not good.
No, don't bother. It's not many films.
It's not fun. It's not fun bad. It's
just awful.
You'll be so sad at wasting your time.
Yeah, honestly, just stop here.
I have no interest.
No, I agree. I went that far and I went no more. I was like, City of Angels was a like bottom bargain basement bullshit, and they have one of the characters of this film return as well, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I do nothing with it, of course. So yeah, but I do like the because obviously this is set around Halloween, but it's also technically set around the Day of the Dead. And I always thought that Eric Draven, who the surname was actually not in the comic, he was just Eric. But obviously with The Crow, they were like, oh, Draven, get it? He kind of, resembles the kind of Sugar Skull. Which I thought was really cool. And I think in some of the other comics, they play on that and make it like a literal, like, Sugar Skull and things, like the design and everything. So what would you guys return back from the dead for?
Well, I just wanted to say on the film itself, I think what it is one of my favorite things. If you've ever heard me talk about Mad Max Fury Road, but it's just simple storytelling. This is not a complex story. It is takes place pretty much in one night, apart from we could say the beginning. And it is he has 4 people to kill, ends up killing more. Fine with it, by the way. I have no problem with this. He
tried to just kill those 4.
Exactly.
You just give me the last dude and I'll be done here. Well, your call.
Yeah, you fucked up for yourself, mate.
And I'll kill all of you then.
And he doesn't kill them in any complex ways. There's no elaborate plan. It's just straightforward storytelling. And then on top of that, you've got the world building. From the moment you step into this film, you understand the world. It does both showing and telling, but not in a bad way.
Right. It's just so bleak.
Yeah, and you just get an instant feel. It's like when you step into Gotham, it's exactly like that. And I know so many people make comparisons about this and sort of being in Gotham. And it's just, and that's what's so good about it. It doesn't overdo anything. It doesn't over-egg anything. It's when it is being showy, it doesn't feel showy, or it feels like, hey, Eric's died and it's been a bit tough. Maybe he wants to do a flaming crow. Thank you very much. I've got little joy left in my world. And turns out I'm awesome at drawing crows in everything, in blood and fire and shit. So I'm going to do it. And I'm like, you go, Eric. You really enjoy that. But it's that perfect blend of the story, of the set, of not overcomplicating things, of good actors, of good music. It feels, you can tell that everybody who is in this film was invested in this film. There are certain roles where people could, be doing like wink, wink to the camera, and none of that's happening. They've gone, this is what the film is. We're going to.
They were in it. Like no matter how ridiculous the character, they were in it. It's like I hate Skank. But he played the hell out of that role, didn't he?
Right?
Didn't he? Like he was just in it.
Right. And Darla's so tragic. Sarah, the young girl, her mum, she's so tragic, and she could play that role of Darla as. As, oh, look at junkies, aren't they terrible people? But she doesn't, she infuses it with real emotion. And I've got a whole backstory for her. I've not watched this film for ages, and we were watching it and I was like, I'm sure there are more scenes with Darla in it, or that, it's not, she just brings so much to the role that you totally get her
the vulnerability, the regret, the guilt, the desperation.
Why
she doesn't feel like she has a whole lot of options, right?
Exactly right. And I totally get why she's with Funboy, because what else has she got in life? He's providing her with some sort of security, both in who he has as a person and a security blanket in the fact that he supplies her with drugs, so she doesn't have to think about her quite frankly shitty life. And then there's one scene with her and Sarah when she's trying to do her breakfast and she says, I've never been a good mother anyway. I was never good at this mum shit anyway. And that just sums up her whole thing. She must have had Sarah young. She had nobody to help her raise her. She's been vulnerable. People have taken. And I'm like, none of this is said in the film, but you get it. And that's why this film works so well.
They didn't need to go into 10 tons of backstory. It's these are the characters. We have thought out the backstory. We're just not telling you all of it. We have the answers. We just don't feel the need to spoon feed it to you.
Oh, sorry, Dan. So I forgot your question.
No, it's okay. I was saying. So I was saying on Discord the other day. I managed to interview one of the cast members a couple of years ago at Malta Comic Con. I interviewed Bai Ling, who is the sister.
I love Bai Ling.
Yeah. And she was
pretty lights.
She certainly does. And she was a character. I will say that. She was a real character.
She's amazing. Yeah. Do you know what? Sorry, now I've just interrupted you, which is very rude. But I think, I don't think Bai Ling is the best actress out there, but I think she's very, very talented. And I think if we wrote more interesting female characters and interesting female lead characters, she would be super famous now, because she fell into the trap of a young starlet. Everything, people were disgusting and perverted over her. And she was
I won't tell you about some of the other things that went on Malta Comic Con then.
Yeah. And, and she was treated like this exotic this exotic thing that, I remember the tabloids absolutely ripping into her, like anything she did. And it was just all gross. It was all racist and sexist and gross.
Yeah.
But you can see with her role in this, like she is this character. And she, and I've seen her in other things. And you forget, for me, I forget she's in this film. And then I was like, it's Bai Ling. I just think, again, that's another thing. Like, even in quite small roles, they've got really exceptional actors in. And I just think that's something really special about the film as well. Sorry to interrupt. I like Bai Ling, it turns out.
Yeah. That's all right. We all do. But yeah, I interviewed her, but unfortunately my audio interface we're having some power issues and it cut out and erased the recording.
Oh my gosh.
I was so fucking gutted because she was like the biggest guest and the most interesting person to talk to at that event. And it just, I didn't let her on saying that all that has not been recorded. A guy recorded me with his phone who was kind of her assistant. So that's somewhere. So it does exist somewhere, but the copy I had just died. Anyway, I asked her, we asked basically, how are you finding the convention? What have you got coming up? Or what are you doing at the moment? And then I just asked whatever the fuck I wanted to ask. So I asked, if, like in The Crow, if you died and came back, what would be your reason for coming back? What would you come back for? And she said, I don't believe in death. I believe in energy. And when I die, my energy will be passed among all the people of the planet. We will share this energy. Energy cannot be destroyed, but only passed on and change, and it will never dissipate, sort of thing. And it was fascinating. I was like, this is great. This is amazing. And then it was just like, boom. Oh shit!
Gone.
Yeah, but I have my memories, so I have my memories of
Yes.
it, and that's something. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't share it with anybody else. But it was really special and really unique. And again, like her perspective was, she is a very spiritual person.
She's from the moon.
Is she?
Yeah,
Okay,
she's from the moon.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That's fine. I am very fond of moon people, so there we go. But yeah, so I would like to ask you guys, what do you think would stir you to come back? Again, doesn't need to be revenge or love or what have you. What would you come back for?
Who's going to go first?
I keep forgetting.
I am not
point
going to answer.
Yeah,
that
you do.
question.
Yeah.
Okay. Ria's going to answer the question.
My answer would be too revealing, so I'm not going.
Don't say.
Like, I'm going to give people.
Well,
here's the thing that matters most to me in the world.
I mean, you can make something up, or you can maybe have the second best thing if you want.
I don't lie.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There you go, Dan.
All right. Okay.
She's coming back for the liars, Dan.
Yeah.
She's coming back for
150th episode. Yeah.
I mean,
during content.
I mean, I would come back if anybody hurt my child. I would fucking destroy you, by the way. I mean, don't kill me, because I will ruin your fucking life and all of your descendants and everybody around you's life as a ghost, as a terrible spirit. I mean, certainly don't do it if I'm alive, because good fucking luck to you. There you go. That's what I'd do. So come on then, bring it on. No, don't hurt my child, so I can do vengeance. That's bad.
I'm a little scared now.
Yeah, I would literally burn down the whole world for her. So
yeah. So you should. Good
luck to anyone who bullies her at school.
But then, where does she live?
You know, This Is 40. Do you know the film This Is 40?
Yeah.
Tonya, do you know the film This Is 40? Oh, okay. I was about to say a spoiler. But basically,
I've never even heard of it, so you can spoil it.
Somebody's mean to like the main character's child in it, and she goes to the school and she absolutely loses her shit. And I'm like 100% justified. I'm like, yeah, I am that parent, and I will make a child cry. You bully my kids, I will make
like that. I played a character like that, and I rehearsed it at one of my acting classes because I knew that I was going to be doing this film. So it's a film about colorism. And I am fair-skinned, and I have a dark-skinned daughter who is being picked on because of how dark her skin is. And they threw paint on her. And so I go to the school and tear into those kids and the administration. And it was a very awkward moment for me in my acting class, because I thought, let me make sure I'm totally prepared. this guy is supposed to be a big deal in the industry, and he white guyed me. He's like, you don't really want to come off as an angry Black woman, do you? These people hurt my child. I don't care what the race is. I am going to get them. Like, this isn't about race to me. This is about protecting my child.
Fucking hell. And then
Yeah.
you went, you can jog on, mate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jog on.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I asked for my money back. I'm like, this class is not for me.
Yeah, good. And I hope you got that money back.
Well,
Tonya, do you need me to come round? Because I'll fly over,
Yeah.
of course.
I'm just going to say yes because it means you're here.
well, we all know, me and Tonya probably especially, that there is some problematic stuff in the world of acting, and that is just the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately, for everything. It's kind of why I don't do it anymore. There's a lot of that plays into it, that sort of shit. I always used to hate that. I used to hate like casting calls and things like that. It's like you need to be attractive. What does that fucking mean?
Right. What does that mean?
The fuck
To
does
whom?
that mean?
You know?
Yeah. You need to be good looking. I am. Am I your good looking? I don't think so. I'm not.
Who are we to?
Or you need to be good looking, but not too good looking. You need to look realistically good looking. What the hell does that mean? You know?
You can't be. You can be angry. You can be angry, but not too angry. Fucking hell! It's just. And
be angry, but not black girly angry.
Yeah. That's a different level of angry. I'm sorry, you can't be that. But I always think what it is. It's some bitter, twisted actor who's got a little bit of power, and they go, "Well, I'm auditioning. I'm the director. I'm going to make these people do fucking whatever I want." Because there was back at my college when I was in Blackpool College, circa 2005, 2006. I think.
So young.
I know, right? And hot and interesting.
and attractive.
And attractive and a quality.
But not too attractive, right?
Not too attractive. Not too attractive that yeah, exactly. I get cast as never be well, maybe once I was the hero, but it was literally me or the dregs of society, so they picked me.
Ouch.
It's all right. They're not listening. I don't know who they are anymore. I've forgotten their names. They were nice enough, but I remember the year above us. There was a group. There was a new head of the acting and drama department, whatever it was called, performing arts, and he came in and he was like, "You guys have got to get really comfortable with each other, really comfortable, you know. So we're gonna have a lesson. Like, this was not what I was in, but this is what I heard about, and it kicked up a huge storm. And he's like, you got to get comfortable. So I want everyone to pair up and start romantically kissing each other."
What?
Yeah.
What?
I shit you not. Wouldn't happen nowadays, but he literally walked in and this was like his first lesson. And I was like, fuck. So they all did it because they're young, starving, passionate actors. They all did it. Fair play to them. And then he was like, yeah, really good. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I like that. Now, it needs to be same-sex kisses. So he paired off girl by girl and boy by boy, and they had to romantically kiss the same sex. And there were complaints, big surprise about this and this choice. And yeah, he's kept the position. He stayed where he was, but nobody really liked him after that.
That's sexual abuse because he's in a position of power. So he's using his position of power to fulfill some sexual thing he has.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of that, and that unfortunately filters into America as well, Hollywood and Me Too and everything. And unfortunately, that is just.
I love that you just described it as Me Too and everything.
I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. What do you want me to? What would you like me to say? What's better to? I mean, is it just the patriarchy? It's just the patriarchy. That's the umbrella term. That's the umbrella term for all that shit. But yeah, there was some other stuff. Like I remember a couple of years before I started there, they did Fame, but there was nobody of color there, and so things happened. Unfortunately, but they did it when I was there. And it was probably more offensive, but instead of that, they said they got a white guy and just said,
you won't even say it, huh?
no, I mean, I can, but I'm not sure if it's something I'd like to say. I don't know if it's an appropriate term. So they blacked a young guy up, basically.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, basically. Blackpool's known for being rough, but yeah, that was pretty rough. But then they did it again while I was there the year above. And instead of that debacle, which again got a lot of complaints, they just said, he's Puerto Rican. That's what they said. That was there's a lot. They inserted that line in and just went, he's Puerto Rican. Right. Okay.
That fixes everything.
Cheers. Bye. Anyway, dance.
Well, I am going to segue this conversation back to The Crow.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I think
How about the racial diversity in this film back in 1994?
You know what? I was going to say, what amazing cast. Brandon Lee, American, Chinese descent, bilingual. I'm not entirely sure her descent.
Chinese American.
Cool. You would.
Why do I know this about?
You're like Biling's biggest fan. You love Biling. Tonya Todd. I mean Tony Todd, isn't it?
Hey. Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, Ernie Hudson. What a man. Who
Guy
else
who plays
was there?
Tintin.
Yeah, Tintin. Yeah.
Lawrence Mason. I've just brought up the what's it called? Jesus Christ, the cast list.
Yeah, did be. It's been a long day.
So you know Bilings.
Yeah.
That's it. That's in your long term. That's
you
in your
know
long
everything about her, but you don't know the phrase cast.
Going really well. 150th episode.
Whoop, whoop. I love that episode where you forgot the word for women. That was one of my favorites.
Once I forgot my own name. So Jack, I am Jack's Musings, used to do film reviews and go to film screenings, and he'd often invite me along because he's lovely. And you'd have to sign in. And one time we had to sign in, and I was like, I don't know my name. It'd been a really long day. And they're like, what? I was like, oh my God, can everybody, and then everybody's looking at you like, I just need everybody to read.
A lot of pressure.
2 minutes. I can remember my actual name, and then we'll all be good.
That's what Ria would come back for, her own name.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm dead. I don't know what my name is. I'm coming back. Let me look at my gravestone.
Anyway,
amazing cast. Yeah, I agree.
And they didn't point to it. It's just, hey, all of these actors play the roles they're hired to play very well, and they're the best cast for this production. So it actually could be done back then, even though it wasn't being done. The excuse of, well, everyone just cast all white people. No, not everyone.
Well, Alex Proyas wasn't the last time that this topic would come up from on one of his films, because he did Gods of Egypt.
Ugh.
Yeah,
and they have a bunch of white people playing Egyptians.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Nah, not really. But I think Brandon Lee was a big part of that, because I know for a fact there's a Chinese character of Chinese descent who is trying to steal the power of the Crow and the invincibility, and he felt that was too much of a racist stereotype to be in the film. So he's like, not going to happen, not on my watch, which I thought was cool.
Good for him.
Yeah, because
this is his big break, and he's going to be this breakout star. You might not want to rock the boat, but he did. Good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess he probably had a little bit of clout with obviously his dad and everything in Hollywood in some respect, but I think he was still working his way up.
That doesn't make him irreplaceable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And doing something with it, doing something with that power that he has to raise everybody else up and provide a voice. It was not his job.
No.
To correct people and teach people things. It never is. It's, people need to go and do that learning himself and put himself in a vulnerable position. So that's amazing.
I agree 100%.
Especially for his age.
Yeah, how old
is
he? It's a great point.
20, he was in his 20s, wasn't he?
Yeah, early to mid 20s, I think.
Wow.
I can look it up through the magic.
I
of
feel like he's
internet.
not part of the 27 Club.
No, I think he was younger. I think he was slightly younger, but
I think he was younger too.
I'll have a look.
So to have such agency at that age, to speak up and do something about it, it's not just about having the clout of your family.
No, of course not. And
Lots of people have clout and they don't do anything.
Exactly.
True. I think he was probably trying to play that down a lot as well, because I know initially he wanted to do more dramatic acting, and after that he kind of knew that this was his way in, was doing the martial arts and then kind of segueing into more dramatic stuff. And this was part of it. Like, he'd done a few films before this, obviously, like Showdown in Little Tokyo, which we covered last year on the podcast, and some other stuff like Rapid Fire and some other films as well. But this was this was supposed to be his big break. And unfortunately, that wasn't. It did in a way, it did, but obviously for all the wrong reasons. Did you know the situation? You know exactly what happened with Brandon and. Yeah. Well, I mean, do we want to talk about it? Has it been talked about?
I think we kind of have to. You can't just ignore that this happened.
Yeah. So it was during the Fun Boy scene. So they'd shot everything. They've got everything they needed for that scene, as you can tell in the movie. There are other parts of the movie where you can definitely tell they did not film everything, or did not have this. So there's various different ways where they use digital masks, I believe, and
or they just hit his face with his hair.
They rewrote the beginning, didn't they? So that you couldn't actually, so you don't fully see his death. And I think that's one of the things why, because that hadn't been filmed yet.
And it's probably for the best anyway. I think that it's more. I think that whole again, that could be a very problematic scene, but I think they managed to film that in such a way where it's not exploitative, or it's not like one of these rape revenge movies or anything like that. It's just like that it's shot in such a way that it's it disturbs you and it creeps you out, and it's violating. But it's
actually,
not...
I kind of like that they focused on the people who were doing the act rather than the one being violated. So we're seeing it from that perspective, seeing them because they're the ones who are going to be attacked, rather than, hey, everyone, let's watch another woman being violated. Let's all watch. So now we're going to exploit her body in this scene. And no, we didn't get that. We saw them being creepy and, getting too close to the camera, making it feel like it's happening to us.
Absolutely, yeah. And you don't see her naked body at any point, which in other films you'd definitely see. When they break in, she's not wearing anything provocative, which is also another trope that we'd already see again. And we are only forced to it's not, I was about to say we're only forced to relive her trauma through the perpetrators, which isn't true. I don't like that, we do have to see her rape through the eyes of men, through when Eric does his mind melding thing. Like, I don't particularly like that. I'm like, it is a woman's trauma being seen through a man. The reason it's so effective in the scenes where it's the perpetrators doing it is exactly what Tonya said, because you are put in her position. You as the viewer are being violated. And so it's not at the expense of a woman that we're watching. So that's the only thing with what happens to her that I don't particularly like. And I think it's so effective. It's incredibly uncomfortable, especially the Fun Boy scene. Just horrific. That it could have, we didn't have to have the whole seeing Shelley herself. And I think they've probably done that to try and humanize her, she's not an off-screen character. It's such a hard line to tread, and I don't know any answers, and I know filmmakers is still trying to figure that out. But, if we didn't actually see her at any point, it would be like, okay, so it's just another woman off screen being raped and murdered. But at the same time, it's so effective when it's happening to you as the viewer. So it's a really difficult line.
It feel exploitative this time. It felt like
doesn't. I agree.
We have to show you the ugliness that happened, but we're not going to sit here and dwell on it and let's just watch and get our kicks off of seeing
There's
her
no
body.
lingering camera, which is terrible.
Right. No, everything was moving and it was like herky jerky because you feel how it was there. Like they couldn't do anything. Nothing was flowing continuously. They just kept going here and here and cutting here and there. And they were not in control of anything that was happening.
Yeah, it's just pure chaos, madness, and
Right.
the day before they get married, and it's just absolute horrible, horrific kind of act. And I what Ria was saying earlier about Darla having more scenes and more of the backstory, I felt that way about Shelley. I felt I knew Shelley, like I knew what she was into, type of music, who she was. And again, I realized that how little she is in it. But obviously she's talked about, the whole story is driven by her death and what happens to her. And I got a real sense of her without necessarily having the screen time or having lots of, exposition or, people
and I've
talking
never
about
forgotten what her face looks like. Like she's stunning in this movie.
Yeah, very, very angelic, especially at the end. Spoilers for the end.
It's not really those scenes. It's not the end. It's more the flashbacks where we just see how she was with Sarah and how she was with Aaron.
I love that scene when she's with Sarah.
Yeah, that's really
it's
nice.
Really lovely. And you get a really nice sense of their life together. They've not got a lot of money, but their apartment is fucking cool though.
Yeah.
Don't
right.
that apartment.
Way too cool considering how little money they have and how they're being kicked out because it's not fit to live there. But okay, artistic license to make it look cool anyway.
That's the line I liked.
Secondhand stores, to just spruce it up.
I like that line. I like that line where they're like, "She was fighting eviction in that neighborhood."
Good on her. Isn't that amazing though?
Yeah.
Like she's not taking that shit. Wants to get married on Halloween. I'm with you, Shelley. Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, it was like, oh, who the fuck gets married on Halloween? I was like, fuck you, buddy. She gets married on Halloween.
Exactly.
I think that's weird. Like maybe
people think getting married on a Monday is weird.
That is weird.
Okay, fair enough. That is you're weird. You're the weirdos. The people
but that's weirder than getting married
whatever day you want. Nobody gives a shit.
It's whatever. It's your wedding. It's your day. Do what you want. So I felt I really got a sense of her, and that she was a much bigger character throughout. But when I came back, I forgot how short it was as well. But I think that is due to obviously the tragic loss. Sorry, we're going to talk about that. During the Fun Boy scene, they decided to do another take. So there's a series, I would really recommend watching Shudder's Cursed Films. They've got a really good episode on this film and various others, and it's really interesting to see what happened and stuff. There was a lot of accidents as well, and people were doing a lot of cocaine on this set. A guy burnt himself quite badly, and there was various other things going wrong. But in this shot, a few of these things come together to make this awful moment. The prop master had gone home for the day, and the junior prop master was in charge. And what he didn't know was he hadn't been told that if you have to check every gun after they've been used for a spent casing. So a casing of the bullet that is now empty, doesn't have the blank in it, but it's there still in the chamber. So he didn't know to check that. So that's why that shell.
And why was he in this position,
Exactly. Well, don't worry. There was a big court case and Lee's family won. So, I think they got something like 3 million, I believe, something maybe more. But yeah, that's what happened.
You can't put a price on his life.
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying that's what occurred. So that happened. We had the director said, Brandon Lee said he wanted to do one more take, I think, and then Alex Proyas asked for the gun to be pointed at Brandon for a specific shot. So Michael Massey, who plays Fun Boy, shot that bullet. I think I always remembered or thought that. I think it's kind of like an urban myth. Like back in the day, people didn't have the internet. We couldn't look these things up. So we'd talk about them. And I think I remember it being during the big shootout in the boardroom, in the meeting room, the long table. Because
that's what I heard at first too.
Yeah. And I also heard that it was a live round that had somehow got mixed in all the blanks, which is not the case. So what happens with when that spent casing is still in there and you put another spent casing in, it becomes a bullet. So that remainder of the previous one and the power of the next round, the next blank, if you will, fires it out with the power and velocity of a bullet. And unfortunately that hit Brandon and led to his death. So that's what happened. And Michael Massey has never seen the film. He felt awful. Alex Proyas felt awful because they felt they were responsible. Michael Massey said he still had nightmares up until his death about the killing. And he said, it's just something you never get over, something like that. He took a year off. He took a year off acting to deal with that as well. He's been in a few films since then. Obviously, he was in Seven and a few other things as well. He played Bruce Banner in two animated Hulk films as well, which I think he's really good. He plays a more kind of villainous, selfish Banner in those, and he's really good. He's also in Tales from the Hood, which I love, which is a horror anthology film. If you haven't seen that, but yeah, it's just fucking shouldn't have happened. And unfortunately, in a positive way, it's not happened up until very recently again. So that's 20, 30 years. But however, it has fucking happened again, which is also fucking atrocious. But the fact
it's negligence.
Yeah,
there's no way around it. It's negligent.
And unfortunately, we had such a shining star that's just been taken from us. And this is, there's a shot in it where he's kind of in the street and he's laughing. It's all in slow motion. And I feel like that might be one of the last shots he filmed, because they seem to focus and linger on that quite a bit, where he's kind of seeing all the kids run by in the Halloween costumes, and it slows down and he's laughing, he's smiling. And I feel like there's something significant about that shot for the director, I think. Just the way we hang on it for so long. But again, I can't say for sure. I don't know. But I think there's something to be said there. And it's an awful situation, and again, it should never happen, even though it has happened again, and hopefully it will never happen again on a set, because you don't actually need to even have live ammo anymore. CG is
exactly
fine. CG is good enough for us to do that now. We don't need live. You don't even probably need a gun. Just need a green stick. There you go. You're done. And that's it. But we've come that so much further than what was available at the time. But it's a tragedy, and unfortunately that will always linger. But at least the film came out excellently. I love it. I think a lot of people love it. Even though it is a cult film, it is a beloved cult film. It almost didn't get finished. Proyas didn't come back almost because of everything. Again, he felt responsible. Everybody loved Brandon on the set.
And I can understand that, because you feel like, I don't want to benefit from this, but at the same time, do you want all of his work to go unseen? Do we dishonor him, or do we honor him by finishing the project? Like, it's a tough call to make.
And it's an extraordinary performance as well. I totally get that conflict, and we, I say we, but people who are interested in films and TV, when these tragedies happen, we always have these conversations, right? Which is, should you release that content? Should you share that content? And it's a really tricky one. I don't think there's a right answer, and I think different people have different thoughts on it. But with this film, I can imagine coming back to it and seeing that performance and going, I would like people to see this film. And it's not just because of the tragedy of his death. No. He is extraordinary in this film. His grief seeps off the screen. You feel it. It is at once both completely melodramatic, but also realistic and considered, and it's extraordinary. I was a bit concerned going back into it, because when he first comes back and he's just has this physical outpouring of grief. I was a bit like, I've not watched this film in a while. Is it going to be cheesy and melodramatic? And it's not. I think you don't see performances like that very often. One way you, as the viewer, you feel completely drowned in his grief about what has happened to him and Shelley. And I can imagine just going in and watching this footage and going, I want people to see this. And that must be a really difficult thing to do as the director, writer, producer, editor. Imagine editing this film after
it was his family
tragedy.
Who made the call, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So he because obviously the studio was like, we want money. Where's all the monies? So they were like, you've got to finish it. We signed a contract, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I don't know if I can do it. You might have to get somebody else. I'm not sure. And he decided to ask Lee's family, ask the mum, ask the partner, and they said, we think you should do it. We think that you should finish this for him, and that's what the film is. At the end, we get a dedication, because that is something that because it was 90% shot, I think, for the most part. I think it's not many.
He only had a few days left in the
And it had to be close.
Yeah, it's he's in pretty much the whole thing. It's not like Bruce Lee, who didn't finish Game of Death. He is only in like half an hour of that film, the final half an hour, and it's incredible. But it's only half an hour. Everything else is like, he has some guy he's attacked with a knife, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a scar on my face now, so you can't recognize me." And that's where all those Bruce Lee exploitation movies come from as well. And yeah, but he's in most of this. It's only a few scenes I really notice it, like where he's riding with Ernie Hudson and he's trying to have a conversation with him, and he's like, doesn't say anything, and he's like, looks at him, and he's like, he notices his face, and then he just disappears out of the car. That's the only one where I was like, that one's quite noticeable. Everything else but it
worked with the plot too. He's having some problems,
Yeah, true. What Ria was saying earlier actually was really interesting, because there was a cut portion of the film with a character called the Skull Cowboy. Have you heard about this?
No.
I feel like I read about that a while ago.
Yeah, so the Skull Cowboy, I believe he was in the comic, if I remember rightly, and he was kind of a guide, or he would explain the rules and what he could do, and he the Crow, they kind of replaced that with the Crow in the film, but he was said to be somebody who didn't quite get their vengeance, or wasn't quite at rest after their vengeance, so they stuck around and they'd follow the people that came back, the returned, or the revenants.
So like he didn't succeed in his vengeance, or he broke a rule?
What one or two? It was never specifically said. It's just implied that that's why he's telling him to follow these rules. So what was happening in that version of the film was that every time Eric Draven would go and do something with his powers that was not directed towards his revenge, he would lose his powers and become weak, and that
sounds more rule based.
Yeah, so that was so if he goes to help out, what's her face? Skater girl. Sarah. Skater girl. She was a skater girl. Sarah, if he goes to help Sarah, then he'll lose his powers. He doesn't, and he's weakened. And apparently that's where all the wrapping on the hands comes from. He kind of sellotapes up his hands. Apparently that's where he got injured during a scene. But obviously that seems cut, and we don't see the scene. And it was Michael Berryman, who is.
I think I'm kind of glad that was not included.
Yeah, because his relationship with Sarah is so lovely. She reminds him of love, of why he's there, right? She's that reminder for him of why he needs to seek this justice, because he hides from her when she's first there, and he only lets her see a little bit, and then he reveals it all to her. And it's almost as if, the love that she still has for him, the love that she still has for Shelley. The whole film is once somebody's dead, it doesn't mean that they're gone, and the love that you have for them carries on. And it's like her,
and she says love lasts forever.
Exactly, and so I'm really pleased that's not there, because I think that really dilute their relationship, and how she is a reason for him to be undead.
I think you're right. I think it would have been a bit too weird to have a guy walking around who's a cowboy and a skeleton. Just like,
I don't know that it'd be too weird, but I think it would be distracting. I think it would be distracting from the theme and from the mood of this film.
And I think that's why they cut it, and I think that's why they introduced the idea of injuring the Crow.
Is that in the graphic novel that cowboy did?
I think the cowboy is. I don't think weakening. It's been years since I've read it. I'll be honest. You're better off asking Tony and Chris, because they covered it on Comics in Motion. Go listen now to both of those. But yeah, it's something like that. You should put
the link in the show notes.
I might just do that. See, even Tonya.
Mike would.
All right. We all love Mike. All right. I base my show notes on his. So
just everybody knows. Just the listeners know beforehand, we were talking about how much we like Mike, and Dan got jealous
Hey,
So
Yes.
hey, I'm all right.
And that's Mike Burton of Genuine Chit Chat for those who don't
Yeah,
know.
he's great. He's great. He's good.
and Star Wars comics in canon.
He's got mad.
Yeah.
He's got mad skills. I like him. He's good. Yeah. Anyway, just stop hanging on about him. 2 minutes. No,
Funny enough, when we talked about Pam Grier, I gave Mike a little shout out as well. Then didn't I?
You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm obsessed with you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you guys do give shout outs to me, so it's okay. So that's all right. So it's at
I
least
just call you Spoiler Dan, that's all.
I do not appreciate, and I do not identify as that.
Oh, really? What's your email address?
One email address that I only contact you with.
Yeah.
Is it even real?
Oh, he just admitted he has a secret email address just for me.
Just for you.
Secret email. Oh, we know who's the favorite, Dan.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Now. Do you want? I mean, you can have it.
He
as
just
well.
had to have the attention back on him. He doesn't want us to talk about Tony.
It's my 150th episode. You want to make it about me?
Happy
Let's give him that.
No, it's all right. I don't mind. But yeah,
Does that mean you get 150 spankings?
oh my.
Don't get him excited, Tonya. We've got to wrap this up.
He looks kind of scared, not excited.
It's all the same to me, really. Don't turn me on and then turn me away. That's not fair. That's just not fair.
Oh, sure it is. I will elevate you just enough to bring you down.
Why? Yeah. So the
Crow.
The Crow. Yes. Did you know that the Crow was remade in India?
Oh no! What was it called?
It was called Hater the Murder.
Oh my god! It sounds like a TikTok.
That's HAYTA : the murder. Hater.
Wow.
Not you're a hater.
Such a hater.
Hater. But yes, so I imagine it's very joyful with a lot of dancing and singing, most likely.
Well, that sounds like something you should cover, since you're not supposed to be watching the popular things like The Crow.
The Crow.
You should watch that.
Well,
and tell us all about it.
Well, it's Shock-Phobia Fest, so I bend the rules a little bit. But don't worry, we'll go back to some weird shit next year. Don't worry, I've got some stuff planned.
There's plenty of weird in this.
Oh yeah, I agree. What's your weirdest moment then? What's your favorite weird thing?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of eyeball stuff going on in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, unnecessary shock of the relationship between those two. It's like she could have just been his mistress, but no, they made a point to make sure we knew, oh, it's my sister. And he says it like, we have the same dad, that makes her my sister. What of it? Like, you're sleeping with her? Maybe that's what of it?
I love that. I love that as well. When you meet them, you're like, oh, how is she? I think we broke her.
Yeah.
Just like, they're like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Weird incest shit.
Yeah. Eyeballs. Yeah. She does like eyeballs. And then, poetic justice, she gets hers pecked out and falls to her.
But that wasn't that weird. She had that coming. She was the only one who understood the real power of the Crow, it seemed.
That's right. Because she's bilingual. Ria's favorite person.
Do you think that she was just being bilingual?
I don't know if there was any acting going on whatsoever.
Or do you think she's being Michael, or do you think she was just being bilingual?
Good question. That is a good question. I'm not sure.
I feel like this isn't great content.
I mean, I don't think we've even talked about the film all that much, but
no, we haven't.
You know what? All the stuff I'm going to mention is on IMDb.
Okay, well, what do you think is the weirdest thing, Dan?
Yeah,
the
incest is the weirdest.
That is weird. That is definitely weird.
Because it didn't really serve the plot at all.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
It's kind of
like,
yeah.
Yes, she didn't need to be his sister.
So strange.
It wasn't a problem. It didn't ruin the film or anything, but it was weird because it didn't have anything to do with the storyline whatsoever.
I think one of the weirder moments is one of the more kind of beautiful and poignant moments. If we go back to the Funboy scene with Darla and that fucking amazing line read Brandon Lee gives, where he says, "Mother is the name for God, on the lips and hearts of all small children, I think he says.
And then he gets the heroin out of her.
Squeezes it out of her.
Yeah.
It's morphine, isn't it? Morphine. Yeah. And he knocks her habit, and it's. I think they were saying that.
I'm sorry, you're much more well versed with drug use than I am.
Of course, I am. Yeah, absolutely. I know all of the drugs.
My apologies.
I did it. I'm sure I did a drug once. One of the drugs. But yeah, so he knocks her habit, and I think that might have been either a Proyas suggestion or because he's kind of almost like an avenging angel. So I think they wanted some sort of angelic ability.
You might say a dark angel.
Oh,
Yay.
nice, very nice. So I think they wanted something that like that, and to show that he's not just all about the murders, doing the murders. Because I think a lot of these films would just be that. I think it's just like, right,
but
the Punisher movie,
isn't it? Yeah, like
because he realizes that Sarah still needs help. She's still among the living. It's not just about getting justice and hurting these people who hurt Shelley, but how about Sarah, who still has to live on these streets with these criminals out here? Go take care of your daughter.
Yeah, it's not blanket violence or blanket vengeance. You know, he's not John Wicking it all over the place. He's just, you know, it's very specific about what he wants to do and who he wants to punish.
He didn't even kill the pawn guy, and he deserved to die.
Oh, he definitely
every one of these is a life you helped destroy. And he's right about that, but he lets him go.
Victims, aren't we all?
How do you both feel about the violence in the film? I remember when it came out, and I say I remember it came out, I probably read it in like Empire or Total Film magazine or something like that, that there was a bit of it's obviously linked to Brandon Lee's death, but there was a bit of an upset about all of the violence. How do you find the violence watching it now? Or do you recall it being particularly... Do you recall it being particularly violent when you first watched it?
Not overly violent, but my kind of violence.
I mean, you've seen some of the things I watch, so for me, this is quite tame.
It feels really tame.
Yeah, but I think if it was over the top, it was blood and gore and bits and bodies and chainsaws, I think again it would take away from the love.
But that would make it silly, and
exactly.
Silly.
That'd be your school cowboys.
Those movies have their place where
absolutely.
Let's get creative with all these kills and just do something ridiculous. But it wasn't that kind of film. This violence felt justified, and there was a sense of satisfaction that you received when you watch these people dying in the ways they did. In fact, I think it was really Skank was the only disappointing one, because everyone else had a creative death.
Oh, well,
they were killed with something that they used, like some part of them.
Yeah.
Or he was just tossed aside.
Yeah.
But that's kind of fitting too, because he's just Skank.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It sings as well, and it sings that they used to torture and rape Shelley as well. You know, the knives were used to kill Eric and were used to threaten Shelley and cut her up. You know, Fun Boy, his dick. All of that sort of stuff. It's all things that were connected rather than it just being random violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you'll like this, Tonya, but love is what saves the day.
It is.
So we obviously Ernie Hudson is in this, and I think he's fantastic in this role. I think it's one of his best. I also kind of, I don't think he mentions it, but I do feel like he was kind of fucked over with the Ghostbusters movies. If you go into the kind of backstory behind that and stuff, like they took lines away from him. He wasn't Eddie Murphy, so they were like, "Oh, well, us white guys will take these great lines, bye," and you won't turn up till the third act, and you'll barely be in the second one. Sorry, Ernie. But I think he was great in this. There's gravitas, there's emotion, there's an intelligence. And just those scenes in the flat with him and Brandon Lee, I could watch all day. And apparently they were mostly improvised as well.
Were they?
Yeah. So the nothing trivial line is improvised.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the better bits in the film as well. Like, when you're dead, nothing was trivial. You miss it all, even the silly little annoying things you would miss about somebody. But yeah, I think he's great, and he stays with Shelley for the 30 hours that she lives on after the attack and the brutalization. and the fact that he stayed is shocking to Brandon Lee's character Eric Draven, and he feels that pain. He has this kind of psychic touch. There's a name for him. I'm blanking on.
Every time he touches someone, he gets these flashes and he gets these memories and he gets a piece of it. So I feel like they laid the groundwork for that. And he touched him for just a second. He's like, "No, do not touch me again.
Yeah.
Like I can't take anything more right now."
Yeah, and at the end, he manages to stop Top Dollar, who is amazing as well in this film. An excellent villain. Just so much presence.
Invested. These actors were invested.
Yeah.
In
Michael Wincott. I feel so sorry for him. He's such a great villain, and just as always in villain roles, it's like super typecast.
He's back,
so
isn't he?
good at it.
He's come back in. He's in. Oh shit! It'll be a spoiler if I mention it, won't it? Fuck no. He's in. He's in a very big film at the moment. It's one word, but he's in it. I'll say that. I'll say no more. But he's back. He's back in a big film. So there we go. I don't know what role.
I think I know the film you're talking about.
Okay.
By one of my favourite newish directors.
Yes. I think you know.
Right, yeah.
Anyway. We're trying to avoid
that. Was weird.
I'm winking. I'm winking at
anyone
podcast.
who watched Neil's appearance or listened to Neil's
that's very true. That's very true.
If you're not listening to She-Hulk podcast at large, get on it because it's almost over. We're almost finished. Only 2 left. But yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about. Where were we? Wincott.
Yeah. Pain.
Got it. So then he remembers that from Ernie Hudson, and he uses that. So the love Ernie Hudson had, the caring, the desire to see Shelley survive, but then also witnessing all that pain and never leaving for all those 30 hours. He gives that to Top Dollar and then throws him off the roof. And he gets an amazing death. He gets he gets it.
It just looked so cool.
And he's got all the blood's pouring out the gargoyle's mouth. It's fucking great.
Very Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah,
he's Gaston, right?
Did he eat 12 dozen eggs though? Do you think?
I don't know, but Gaston is one of the best villains, and I love that they both had like very similar deaths.
Yeah. Oh, so good. It's a great film. Like there's not much. I wouldn't say there's much to critique. I think you can.
There are some silly moments that I didn't love. Like we don't need the little dance when you go off the side. There are like a few just silly things.
Like the goofy humor that he kind of comes up with. Yeah. But I think you need that.
But it didn't ruin the film.
Yeah, I think you need that a little bit. I think you need these touching, softer moments because there's so many films out there where it's just like grim and gritty and dark, grim and gritty and dark. And it's just, it's just that all the way through. And you're like, fuck, some days you're ready for it. And other days you're like, tell a joke, throw a pie, fucking hell, do something. have an ice cream. Fuck. Go out in the sunshine once. But, I don't know. But yeah, I think there's.
I will accept that from a Brit because you don't know what real sunshine is.
I was going to say,
not from me. I'm well against the sunshine. It's raining and cold and windy here, and I'm still like factor 50 on every exposed bit of skin.
I was going to say, Eric Draven says it can't rain all the time. He's clearly never been to Manchester.
Yeah,
it is.
I always read that line differently. It's like, oh, it can't rain all the time. Why can't it?
Do we want it to rain? Do we not want it to rain?
Yes, we do want it to rain.
When it rains,
rain is so romantic.
What did you guys think of them kind of taking something from real life and more tragedy? Yay, episode 150. More happy things. So the Devil's Night is a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and it's not in the comic. They don't use it in the comic, but they decided to bring that into this film. Do you think that adds anything to does it bring an edge of realism, or do you think it's an interesting idea? Does it go in line with the Halloween stuff? Or?
Yeah, I think it was a great touch.
Yeah, it makes.
I didn't realize it wasn't in the comic though. I didn't know that they took that and said, you know what, let's add this element. So I say good call.
It was. If you don't know what Devil's Night was, it was. I believe it started in the mid-80s, or Mischief Night, as Devil Night is Devil's Night is also known. And basically people were just like, they do pranks, throw eggs, toilet rolls, all that sort of stuff. But then it kind of escalated into like just arson. And then it just became a thing for years and years and years. And then particularly in 1994, there was a really bad night of it. And they decided, right, we're going to put out volunteers. There's going to be a watchdogs, that type of thing. And they called it Angels Night instead. And they constantly kind of every year would kind of protect and maintain, and they'd alert people to people starting fires. And then about around 2011, it was like it completely wiped out. So they managed to get rid of Devil's Night and stop Devil's Night altogether. So amazing work, to get that. They guess I had to go through a long period from just to get people to forget that tradition, I guess. But they did it. They saved Detroit in some respects.
What were you going to say, Ria?
Can't remember now.
Something about Devil's Night? About Devil's Night?
Probably.
Yeah. So it was what do you think of how they added it?
Was it supposed, Devil's Night? And I'm now looking at you, Dan, as an expert, because you've obviously done some research. Because obviously it's in Detroit, which is not necessarily particularly wealthy. Was it started as just fun and japes? Initially. So it started as fun and japes, and rather than.
I think maybe somebody started some fires, and then I think it became a thing. And like you says in the film, it's like, oh, we got the greeting cards now and everything.
Because that's what's so interesting about how incredibly violent it is in this film, that it's, that he's like literally getting a gang together. Top Dollar's getting all of his people together to use it as an excuse to intimidate people, to get money out of people, to get power. And so I was just wondering, in terms of real life, the criminal element, I imagine, wasn't quite how it started and what it was intended to be. And so this film's just gone, what if it was very, the one night off, whatever that film is, doing well. The one night
The Purge.
It's The Purge, thank you.
Yeah.
This is almost like Purge Senior.
I don't know 100%. I've not done loads of research into it. I don't know if there's more.
Disgrace.
I know, right? What a letdown.
Too busy looking up crazy villains in the Marvel universe.
Posting those covers every day.
Of the week.
I mean, you know what? Let's do like on many of Tonya's shows. Let's go and educate ourselves. Let's read more about it. Let's find out. Let's speak to the people who were there, experienced it. Let's find a new perspective on it. So
no, I'm a privileged white person. I'd like you to tell me about it rather than to educate myself.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's sorry. I should know that as also a privileged white person. We are the fucking worst.
I don't want to do any of the work.
Fuck us, right? Fuck us. We are shit. Anyway, I think we've gone on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're bad. All that white guilt's pouring out of us now. So, guys, I think we've gone on long enough. I said I would remind you. Oh, God, I've got listed comments as well, haven't I? Oh,
yeah, do comments.
I'll do them. I'll go do them.
Do it.
Very quick.
Come on, more enthusiasm. Don't go, oh shit. Come on.
I'm
People took time and energy to
I'm not saying oh shit.
I don't remember.
I'm all shitting because I forgot to tell Tonya when we should be wrapping it up because I forgot. So anyway, let's do comments. Ada McCartney at AA_McCartney. Ada. She is so I asked people, what do you think of the film? Tell us your feelings. She said, diggable in theory, but definitely too spicy for this cat. So I don't know if maybe that's the initial kind of opening of the film she might be discussing, the kind of the violence there, and I'm not sure, or if it's just something she just not her bag, maybe.
So you didn't follow up? You didn't ask her to elaborate?
No. I asked her. I thought she would elaborate more anyway, but clearly not. But we can ask.
She's a woman of mystery.
Okay,
yes.
I like that. Much like the Crow. I Am Jack's Musings says at I Am Jack's Musings, it's a near masterpiece. bad.
There you are, Jack.
There he is. There he is.
He's often a man of few words, and I think that sums it up really.
Yeah.
Go check out his Letterboxd. It's great.
Yes.
Some will just be one word.
Yes. I need to do some actual reviews on it as well on my new letterbox. Check that out too. Math, who is a guest on She-Hulk Podcast at Large, says, The Crow is one of my favourite films. I got my son to watch it in the last few weeks, even with all the events that happened. Also, no onions. They make you fart. Big time. Tony said, Chris Phelps and I covered the Crow comics last year. Lots to talk about Catholic stuff. I think The Crow was an allegory for Detroit. It was almost dead, but then has risen from the ashes and is a lot different. Not all the changes are great. The movie and the film are totally different animals, and both are great. The girl in The Crow is so bad that she almost kills it. I don't know if is he talking about Sarah?
Oh, poor Sarah.
Like
I was
Sarah.
so desperate to have her undercut when I was young, like young teen, and nobody would let me. I'd go to hairdressers and they'd go, "No, your mum would be really upset." And, excuse me, it's my hair. Rude.
Fuck my mum. Fuck her.
So rude.
Just let you have this. Like, you're paying. Fuck everybody else.
I mean, I was like 13.
Not a tattoo.
Yeah, I doubt
Yeah.
I was paying. I doubt I was paying at that age.
It grows back unless you're me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So John Hammond, so that's at John Hammond 73, says, brilliant movie, albeit tinged with sadness. Could have made Brandon Lee a huge star after pulling off a fine performance, delivering his lines with aplomb. Great action, visually stunning. I love it. Paul Meller, so that's at the Meller Geek, one of my all-time favorites. Excellent story, cast, action, and soundtrack. Still sad to think how good Brandon Lee was, and not what we could have had if the tragic events linked to this movie had not happened. And a new listener of Tonya's, Fuzzy Dunlop, that's at Fuzzy Dunlop _1. It's one of those films that if I ever come across it randomly on TV, I always end up watching it. I never get bored. After all these years, it's equal parts of its time, yet it is timeless. It's really great, in my honest opinion.
Those are great comments.
They do. I mean, that was not my first podcast on you.
Is it? How many have you done?
150, and that's not counting Patreon as well. There's more. If you want more, some people might. Tonya does, and she gets them on Patreon. But you do have to go past the paywall to get them. But yes, guys, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell us when the timer was going off. Gone on longer than I thought maybe we have. I don't actually know how long we've gone on for, but I'm going to apologize now because that is what I do. But guys, you've got some amazing stuff coming up and stuff that has just come out podcast-wise. Please tell us about it. Ria, you go first.
Oh, another thing I'm really good at. So join me and my fellow pop gorillas. Through October, we will be doing some horror movie franchises, so come and have a listen. It's reviews, spoiler free, in less time than it takes to listen to a song, unless you're me. Let's just say my song lengths are post-rock, math rock songs, because they go on for like 15 minutes sometimes. Also, what else am I doing? I'll be torturing myself with Christmas films again in December. So come and join that. And a wonderful guest that I've had on Femme on Film, Jess, will be joining me to torture herself with shitty Christmas films. She's going to choose good ones because she's a sensible human being. I'm going to watch all the shitty ones. So join us in then. That'll be on Pop Gridders. And of course, Femme on Film, at Femme on Film Pod on Twitter.
All the links will be in the show notes. Go and subscribe, listen, do all those good things, because Femme on Film is one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, thank you. So
You have not
kind.
lived until you've heard a Ria rant.
That's why I keep bringing you guys back.
I've not really had one in this episode, have I? What a
No.
shame.
No,
Enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
it's an actually good film for once.
You did have a slight moment with the rape scene, but it wasn't a rant.
No, I think that's.
It did not qualify as a Ria rant.
No, it didn't go on.
That's a shame.
It didn't go on as long, but I'm with you. I was with you on that rant.
I didn't get angry, did I?
No, I think you were more disappointed.
Yeah,
what I
I'm
think.
disappointed.
Mm.
All right, if you want me to get angry, hey, listeners in the UK, go and donate to your local food bank. Go look at the Trussell Trust. People are starving and dying. The Tories are killing us. They are making terrible decisions. Go and help wherever you can. Also donate toiletries. Go and see what people need, because it's more than just food. And hey, food, lots of people can't actually heat up the food. So go and look at your local food bank and see what people need. Fuck the Tories.
Boom. Just drop
Smash
it.
the
I don't want to plug anything
patriarchy.
after that. I just want go do what Ria said. Don't worry about my podcasts. Don't worry about my appearances. Just listen to Ria.
But podcasts are free, so go and listen to podcasts and bring some joy in your life. Go and listen to Tonya's banned books, because fucking hell, I have rants about every single one of those episodes. Go do it.
Absolutely. Well, I can't do my links now because of this. I feel weird. I'll be like, oh, and me.
No, go on. No, bring joy to people's lives.
There is no fucking way I'm doing my links now after that.
They'll be in the show notes. People
They will.
are here for your 150th episode.
They are.
So you don't have to worry. People are watching and listening.
But no, I agree with Tonya and Ria. Go donate, go help out, go support, do something, because
we are privileged to get to sit around and talk about movies we love. There are people who are starving. There are people who can't heat up their food. There are people who are just suffering, and they don't get to sit around and listen to podcasts. So
and in the UK, as of next week, it sounds like they are cutting funding to all job seekers, all support funding for people who are unemployed. Looks like it's being axed. So or they're in discussions to axe it or change it or lessen it, whatever it is.
Fucking disgrace. Just so, I mean, all of you here are not Tories listening, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening. But if you are, they don't care about you. They do not care about you. Stop voting for them.
Never did. Never will.
Anyway. So this is how I get people to hate me.
oh, you had to make it political. But no, I'm
Ria
with you.
for Prime Minister.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
Thank you.
But no, guys, thank you very much. I know we didn't talk about The Crow that much, but it's an excellent film. Go experience it. If you want more trivia, it's on the IMDb page. That's where I'm getting it from. So go read it yourself. Go read about the Skull Cowboy and all the other cool stuff, and maybe a Wikipedia page. I took a few things from there. But there you are. That is The Crow, and another excellent addition to Shock-Phobia Fest. Ria's already been on. She's been on twice. She is a Shock-Phobia Fest connoisseur. I don't know.
Twice a connoisseur?
I don't know. Are you a podcaster or are you a podcast guest? That's another question.
Yes, that's a different question for another show.
Another time, another show.
And we did get our answer, didn't we?
We did. I think we did. It
came out.
Came out of that closet. Yeah, actually. I'm on all of these.
I'm plugging more than Mike.
But yes. Thank you guys. This has been wonderful. I always enjoy podcasting with you guys. You'll be back very soon in January. We're going to look at some very weird films, and you might not like them, and I might not like them because I've never seen them either. So they're going to be weird, really weird.
Forward to one of them.
Yeah, only one of them. Only one. Of them.
I'm a little tentative about the other. I'll watch both. Maybe I will be pleasantly surprised. But one looks cool.
Have you been doing some research? Have you? Not spoiled anything?
I don't do spoilers.
I know, Tonya. I know.
Just from what you told me.
Right. Okay. But that is kind of both kind of that way, similar.
Absolutely, never do research before I watch it.
I know this. But
I love you too.
It's like you don't even know me, Dan.
God. Have I regretted inviting you for the 150th? Have I?
No, it's been amazing.
No, it's been great. I don't. I'll have you on much more in the future as well. You guys,
you have
great.
me booked for next October.
I know. I'm that keen. I'm that keen to have you back. Anyway, we're going. You know where all my links are. You know where all these other people's links are. They're in the show notes. Go. They're amazing. Check out the banned books because it's life-altering, perspective-changing, not world-ending. I don't know why I might say world-ending, but if people are in charge of banning books, in charge of the government. Maybe it is world ending. I got political too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really important. Go and listen to Tonya's work. It's amazing.
It really
is. Absolutely amazing.
It's one of my, I think it might be one of the best podcast journeys I'm going on. And
I agree.
I'm cherishing every single moment, opinion, controversy, everything, all of the stuff. It's good. We've kept Tonya. We've probably ruined a schedule for the entire day. So, we're going to go now.
I appreciate you sharing your celebration with me.
Oh, well, I appreciate you allowing me to celebrate my celebration with you, or whatever that is.
I'm just along for the ride.
Ria, you're always here, and you're always appreciated.
Always here.
And yeah, you.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. We're always watching, always. Right. I hope you're enjoying the rest of Shock-Phobia Fest. There is one left. Oh, I won't tell you what it is, but it's going to be good. I've not even recorded it yet, so it must be great. So I see you into the future. Goodbye.